Hello, everyone. We are so excited that you're with us today. We have Dustin Oldfather, and he founded a company that bears his name in 2004. And in the years since, he has assembled a top real estate sales team in the Delaware and Maryland beaches area. Him and his wife are responsible for millions of dollars in real estate sales, and they are recognized as some of the top agents in Delaware and the Maryland area. So, Dustin, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to finally spend some time with you, Chantel. I've heard so much about you over the years. Our mutual friend, Lynn and Mo, always had so many great things to say about you.
Well, that is so sweet. I'm so excited to be here with you. So, one of the things that we talked about right before the call is you were showing me what you did on your website to kind of create more people to engage, more people to put their name, email, and phone number in. And I want to kind of start with talking about that first.
Yeah, so we've focused while everybody kind of gave up on SEO and gave into pay to play. We kind of doubled down on SEO, and so dedicated part of our staffing to writing more blog content and building out more community pages. But the dilemma with your website is that people consume the information and they leave and they never come back. And so our SEO specialist suggested that we add a light box, which effectively is just as a simple pop-up, when somebody gets to the site. And so when somebody logs in after a few seconds, this light box will pop up and they have two choices. They can obviously ignore it, which is a lot of people do, but we're getting about 1.5% clicks for people that are visiting. And so it's a way of capturing more traffic from not only from our organic traffic, but from our social media traffic, where we're driving people to these blogs and to our website. So now the goal is to take all of those channels and focus them onto the website, making the whole website a lead magnet versus just trying to devote to isolated squeeze pages. So if you want to get listings emailed to you, you click, and then there's a registration, and then same for searching for homes.
So go back to that first page. Go back to the first one with the lead magnet. So if you're listening to this and you're not watching it, you should go to the YouTube and watch it as well. But it says on here, be first to know about new listings, find out when listings hit the MLS, even before Zillow. That right there to me is absolutely genius, because everyone wants to know, as soon as it comes out. And I think people don't realize, in their mind, they think the minute a listing comes live, Zillow's the first one, and it's not. So let's talk about how we can turn that also into a script when you're on the phone with someone. So getting them to engage with you. So let's do a quick role play right now, because I think this has more power than people realize. So let's pretend I'm a lead that just called in, and I just say, I'm just looking right now. I'm kind of this or that. So I'll just start. So I'm just looking right now. I'm just kind of browsing. If there's something I see, I'll let you know. How could you convert that?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. We have a lot of clients just like you that over the years are just getting started. That's where we all start. So there's no pressure. Obviously, we want to be here, when the time is right for you. But, a lot of times people realize the market conditions may work against us as we see interest rates coming down and we're starting to see prices move up. So the house that you can get now, you may not be able to get in the future if we wait. Obviously, there's no pressure, but if the perfect home came around, what does that look like in your mind's eye?
I'm kind of looking for something 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, around $800,000.
Yeah, well, you have a lot of buying power, and as interest rates come down, we're still seeing a tightness of inventory. But one of the great things about when you sign a client onboarding agreement with us is we do have a private list of sellers that are not on the market. If we had a home that matched that, would that be something you'd like to know about?
Oh yeah, because I definitely feel like it seems like everything that I was really interested in seems like as soon as it hits the market, it goes under contract right away, and that's really frustrating.
Yeah, that's one of the things we want to make sure is we give you the inside track. So, we talked about the 3 bedrooms, but can you tell me a little bit more about, what would work for you? What's important in the next home that you buy? Obviously, it's got to be something really special, or, you're not going to make the move.
Yeah, I would like to be near the Maryland beaches. I know that you cover that area, and that's really important to me, is to be as close to the water as possible.
Mm-hmm. Well, excellent. You certainly have some buying power there. Tell me a little bit more about what you like to do for fun, and your recreation. Obviously, the more that we can do that's going to match, your lifestyle, the happier you're going to be in the next house, or the more joy you're going to get out of it. So, tell me a little bit about what you like to do for fun. What do
Yeah,
you
I love to
envision
play
doing in your
tennis.
next house?
Yeah, I love to play tennis. I love to walk on the beach and near the beach, and I love to go bike riding. Those are some of the things I love.
A couple communities really, really stand out. Bayside is a wonderful community. It's got the Freeman stage, so it's got a number of acts that come in. It's got a beautiful outdoor theater. You've got a whole host of amenities. It's got walking trails. It's got a great community, but it also has some privacy that's going to be in your price range. What's also nice, when you decide to work with us, is we have an inside sales team. And so not only do we have clients that have already reached out to us, and we may already have some that match exactly what you're looking for, that are interested in selling, but our inside sales team can also reach out to everybody in that community or other communities like that, and we can find you a property that's not on the market and get you in, so you don't have as much competition and have a little more buying power. Does that sound like something that would work for you?
Yeah, so I guess I'm confused. I thought as soon as a house hits the market, like it goes to Zillow and the same time that it hits the MLS. Is that not true?
Well, there are properties that once they are active on the MLS, they do go to all the websites, including Zillow. But there's also a category of listings that are private exclusive, which means that they're only exclusive to the brokerage that has them listed, that can share with their book of, or their clientele. So they don't go on the MLS. And then there's another category of listings where there's someone who says, "Hey, I'd be open to showing a property if you have the buyer." Sort of one-time show and sell agreement. And we often employ that for somebody like you who may be wanting something that's not on the market right now, but a client would be open to a one-time agreement, and we can bring the client in, and then we can negotiate commission with the seller.
So, okay, we'll come off of that. You can
Oh,
stop
sure.
sharing the screen now.
For sure.
So one of the things that our MLS does is we don't feed it to the MLS for several hours after, and I don't know how all the MLS work where I am locally. It doesn't hit Zillow for several hours after. Sometimes it could be up to 24 hours. So that way I know that we can say confidently is that sometimes it takes up to 24 hours for Zillow to give it to the person. And by that time, it could be under contract. So it's extremely important for me to set you up on a search where the second it goes on the market, you will immediately, anything that comes up in your price range, you will get an automated email with that house. And, if you find something that sounds interesting, we could go look on it. And we're now going to be able to beat out a lot of people. And within the first 24 hours, we could possibly get it under contract. Can you say that as well with your MLS, or how does that work with
That's
yours?
a great question. Hey, I wasn't aware of that lag. That's wonderful news. And that
Yeah,
does
because
give you an
I
automated
don't know
inside
if
track.
it's with all of them, but I know a lot of them that I am aware of that they have to do at least a minimum of a 2 hour lag. And you guys should check it.
Yeah.
A lot of times I think what it says in the feed, because I actually have looked at it one time before, it says that it can take up to 24 hours for it to feed into that.
I love
So
that. I love that angle. And it gives you an inside track. I think what we've also found is just having that private group, I call it our OLS, like our Oldfather listing system. So we have our own internal group of listings that we keep as a group to keep so that as a team, we're also keeping an eye on this tranche of sellers who are open to selling but don't want to go to market. So that we always have some inventory that's not available. And it's one of the key things that I share with my clients, I mean, my agents, is that everyone has Zillow and everyone has effectively MLS. And many times they're going to know more about the community than you because they're going to be looking at it and really detailed deep dive on whatever it is they're focused on at that time. But what they don't have is properties that are, that are not on the MLS. And so when you're bringing something that is not available to them, you're bringing value, as a concierge that they can't get through any of the portals or through a website without you.
Awesome. Let's talk about some of the groups that you're a part of that have given you the most referrals. Like, do you get referrals from gyms or nail salons or anything like that?
I get referrals from gyms or salons. Yeah, I've been was reluctantly a part of CrossFit, which has its own cultish cliches. But I found it to be a big part of my regimen, and through that, I've gotten to know, you kind of sweat and suffer together, and it's one of those places where just organically we've continued to get referrals and friendships and made friends, with the owner, and done everything we can to support just, as a member of that community. And because it is such a tight-knit community, we've had, quite a few people that have reached out and gotten actually referrals. Actually, the owners referred their brother to us, which is a seven-figure plus purchase. So yeah, just being in and doing things that you love, I think, is critical. Not necessarily to be, too contrived. One of our agents on our team is she's got a number of dogs, and she's into the Labradoodles and the Golden Doodles and the festivals that come, and she gets a lot of business from organizing those events and being a part of those events, and has created a Facebook page group around that event that she monitors, and it's a very robust community. If you have a if you have a Labradoodle, and you all instantly have a bond for other people that have them. Um,
So talk to us a little bit about, because it sounds like your online leads you've really kind of got this dialed in. So I want to kind of look at what's the process that you have for, number one, getting the leads, and then the follow-up afterwards to get these leads converted. Can you walk us through that whole process? And you can share anything that you want as well.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously, a number of channels, the usual suspects for everybody. So organic traffic, I think a lot of people have kind of slept on Google. Not everyone, but the Google business page is one of our primary sources of business. And your website is one of the key ranking factors for your Google business page. So when people think, oh, you're just pay to play, you still have to have good organic content on your website, which will drive more traffic. Obviously, having a great vendor who can manage that for you is also strong. So we're driving traffic from Facebook, lead generation from Facebook, Google, PPC, Zillow, Whitley. So the usual suspects, most of
So
all the
talk
lines
to
of
me
water.
about Whitley, because I've never heard of that one. What is that?
Whitley is a lovely program. It was referred actually Grant Wise founded it. Kind of got reconnected via Suneet Agarwal. Suneet's a great agent out in California. Had a great coaching session, a couple great coaching sessions with him. We did about 12 weeks and really took a lot out of that session. But Whitley's a really simple, versatile social media marketing platform where you create Facebook, Instagram ads. And it drives one, it has a search component, and then it's very easy to create retargeting ads. So it's driving more people back at a much lower cost for acquisition. So you can create audiences for prior clients. You can create
How do you spell it? How do you spell it?
WITLY.
Okay.
And Grant Wise is he's a very thoughtful CEO. He certainly always leads with value, and one of the things that I had a good consult with him this year that really gave us gave some insight, because like all of us, there are obviously a lot of changes and organizational changes as we've gone through this consolidation. And he was like, having a true database lead manager is one of the highest value activities. And you kind of mentioned like, hey, how do we go through this process? But managing that process and who's following up and then where are they at in that process and keeping track, we're probably, plugging up the leaks is more valuable than creating more opportunities, for some of us. And that's where we were at. So lead comes in, within a, minute or two, someone on our team should have that call. We call it opportunity time. So for all of our calling hours, which we go from 8 in the morning until 8 at night, we've got a couple blocks during the day where a dedicated agent for each region is available to answer any live transfers or any inquiries that come in. So that lead should be called, called multiple times. Often the agents will call them once or twice and then roll off. We noticed that our average contacts per contact was not where we wanted it to be. We were falling around the average around two touches per lead, and then very specifically started managing to that number, and we're probably closer to between 4 and 5 touches. Some of our best agents are 11 or 12 touches per lead that's coming in now. And as we know that with the higher, to get to those sales, you need more contacts. In addition to that, once somebody comes into our into Follow Up Boss as our primary hub, they're going to get a home buyer or home seller campaign depending on the category or the channel they come from. Usually defaults to home buyer. In addition to that, that then goes into what we call our email river, which is a strategy which we learned from a great friend and mentor, Sharon Srivatsa, which was to have a steady cadence of emails that go out every week that are kind of universally enjoyed. And so over time and lots of testing, we came to a cadence of somewhere between 3 and 5 emails a week. So the goal is once you get somebody into your platform, you're not just giving them static content and then sometimes irrelevant searches because the search maybe wasn't updated, but to make sure that you have relevant content that's interesting. So surprisingly, what we found with the email campaigns is that we have three pillar email pieces, which were not the ones that I expected. So it's the deal of the week, which should be any listing. You just highlight it, brief information, all copy, which creates a lot of hand raisers. So forgive me, a little notification. So the hand raiser email is, hey, this is our deal of the week for Millsboro. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, has a pool, big yard, trees, close to the beaches. Priced at $379. If you're interested in this property, just reply and I'll get you all the details. And so that goes out every week, and that will generate hand raisers for whatever that
Price range.
Right, that price range and demographic is looking for. And so we'll get 15, 20. If it's a low price property, we might get 100 replies. So our database is pretty beefy. We've got close to 150.
And I wonder if doing that deal of the week, I like this idea of the deal of the week. I wonder if you didn't put the price on it, if you would get more hand raisers,
You'll certainly get more FUs. Yeah, we did try that. So no, you're absolutely right. You'll get more responses, but then people get angry. So the strategy here is to start a conversation. And so obviously from somebody, I learned that from Sharon, who's the best in the business, and it absolutely works. And so you're getting a hand raiser out of your database that you may be somebody dead, or you find out that there are a lot of these leads are in the trash, right? We just didn't get them at the point where they're at the right, I hate to use the word funnel, but they're not in the right place in the journey. But then they see, like we did our role play, like, hey, if the right thing came around, I'm interested. Well, I saw something at $379. It looks like it's in my price range. I'm kind of looking there. Hey, send me the details. And now you know that they're closer to that, that point of transaction for their intent. So the deal of the week is a really strong email. It's simple. The guidance on that is just strip out all the graphics. The graphics are going to slow down, are going to give you less deliverability, and it's going to get you in a lot more filters. And then whenever you get an engagement, you want to reply back and forth, because Google is going to see that that there's a bona fide conversation happening there. If all you do is email, and all people do is delete, then Google recognizes that your email is a marketing email. It's not an engaged email. But when you're getting replies back and forth, it's telling Google, hey, this is a bona fide email and people want to receive this. Obviously, if you send out an email people don't like and it gets flagged for spam, and I've been there, and then your email gets shut down, your whole company gets shut down, and then your Google business page gets shut down, then you'll know, that you got to be real careful with that email conversation. So deal of the week is a really strong one. As well as our open house email. I was really surprised that this email performed so well. So we get about a 25 to 30% open rate. We just curate the open house emails, and we drive the links to our website, which we have the blog that has all the emails on it. And then, as we talked about, we have the light box on the blog page. And so we have our database, which we're now reactivating, and then we're driving them back to our site. And then, for anybody who needs to register, they can click back in and get back into the site. The third email that is one of our pillar emails is our weekender, which seems a little corny, but is one of our blanket pillar pieces of content. And we had a local writer that just curates the events that are coming up on the weekend. We're on the coast, and like in most towns, the weekend schedule moves around a lot. The holiday schedule moves things. Where we're at, we'll have a shorebird festival. There'll be a horseshoe crab festival. We'll have parades, at every town that you can sign up and basically, put a magnet on your car and be a part of the parade. So lots of fun things that come up. But, as part of being hyper local, you want to share the events that are happening. And also that's part of what people are aspirationally buying if they're coming from out of the area. So it's just a curated couple, and I can pull one up. It's just a very simple, list of what's happening in the area. And it's one of our people requested. It gets syndicated. People share it. We talked about our open houses. No great shakes. Nothing super, nothing technically hard about this, but just a list of the open houses. And so we're driving people to those open houses. We also take this open house blog when we do it. That also goes onto social with a spend. And so now we're driving traffic from social to our website, and now we have the light box as a lead magnet to capture people that are coming. But so this open house page is important. We do have a search setup that's dedicated to all the open houses. That one wasn't quite as successful, but very simple. Nothing technical, but a very clean workflow to get more people into your database, and then things to do at the beaches. And so people, as we head into the season, this is our highest trafficked page. We keep the same page and update the information every week. There are obviously a couple squeezes if somebody gets here, as well as the light boxes, or not squeezes, but a couple buttons that we can help people be engaged. And then, it's very simple. It's copy and pictures, nothing fancy. And then, linking out and then connecting to other local businesses and other local events. So one of our initiatives this year is we want to be more engaged on creating, video content with these partners for these events. It's hard to attend all of them, but as I said, very simple content that any of us can produce, and that just helps people to feel very comfortable, and to also start that gateway, because people don't start. When they're thinking about moving to another area, they look at the house first, but then the gap is in what's happening in the area. What's the life going to be like when I get there? And if they see, oh, okay, yeah, it looks like there's a parade this weekend, and that's something we also will send as a pay it forward piece to our buyer clients. And so you would ask, like, part of that follow up. One of the things we coach our agents to do is they do, some do, some don't. But when somebody is engaged, but they're farther out, is, a good touch is like, hey, just wanted you to know that about the parades are going on this weekend. I wasn't sure if you're going to be in town. Here's everything that's happening on the weekend. We keep this updated. Anytime you think about coming into town, you can look at this. And so it's just a way to pay it forward without, to do a give without giving an ask. In addition to that, those 3 emails as the pillar, we also do a personal email. So sometimes that might be, 5 quotes worth quoting, whether it's Mother's Day, or it could be, a St. Patrick's Day or Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, things that are just real simple and bite-sized. Your emails, you want to vary in size between something that's really tight, which could be, as Sharon calls it, the sorting hat. So every once in a while, we'll just be like, hey, are you thinking about selling your home in the next 2 years? Quick question, title of the email. Hey, are you thinking about selling your home in the next 2 years? Yes or no? And then send that out to, 100,000 people. and then that will create hand raisers as well. So vary
You've
the
been
style.
talking about someone named Sharon. Talk about what your relationship is, and also talk about any kind of like groups that you've joined or anything like that that have helped you to grow. Any networking groups, social groups, or groups that you've joined that maybe have given you referrals or kind of given you some of the best tips.
Yeah, like a lot of us, it's a, for her coaching, it's a small world at the top. I spent a lot of time in the Tom Ferry network. That's always been a great network for us. We've certainly worked with John Cheplack, Sharon Srivatsa, who sold TELUS to Douglas Elliman, is now the CEO of Real. Been a friend and a confidant and a mentor for many years. And then Mike Shum with Profits Coaching. So lots of great mentors and friends. And then I still have some communities that I'm a part of through social media channels. And I was trying to think of how we got connected with Lyndon, our friend who passed. Yeah, we were in radio and TV experts together. So a lot of those marketing channels and whatever you endeavor to enjoy and things that are you're passionate about and excited can lead to referral business and to relationships that last for a long time.
Mm. So let's talk about one of the things I'm hearing people are saying is that they don't do rentals, and they're getting bombarded with people who are just wanting rents. They want to rent a place. So they'll call them and they're like, no, I'm just looking to rent. Do you have any rental scripts that you've used, or something that you can teach us of how to turn some of those rental scripts into buyers?
Yeah, I know so two categories, right? So one category would be an annual rental, and then the other is a weekly. So weekly is going to be, that's a tough one.
No,
That's
I'm
going to
talking about annual rental. Like,
right, right.
instead
Oh,
of someone
sure.
buying, they just say, no, I think I'm just gonna rent.
And it's a great conversation for all of us, because a book of rental listings is a parking lot for future sales. And so we have just not been able to, with our growth, had the organizational reservoir to be able to launch property management and leasing. But we did just first take our first lease in weeklies, a beautiful listing in town, Lewis, for that reason. But very simple script for us, and you could probably do a variation of this with down payment assistance programs. Would be, someone, oh, I'm looking to rent. Well, hey, that's wonderful. We're not, I'm not a rental agent, but I do have a list of rental agents that can help you. But before we get there, were you aware of the Sussex County Housing Trust Fund? And they're going to say no, right? Well,
Mm.
I know it's kind of hard to believe, but right now there's up to $30,000 for home buyers. You don't have to be a first time home buyer. In fact, the more money you make, actually, the less money you get for earnest money deposit, as well as for closing costs. And so there you can, it's possible that with fair credit, you may be able to get in a house with very little money down. And right now, before prices have moved up, there's a lot of opportunities, and there's some good inventory. Is it worth your time to explore whether we can get you $30,000 to buy your next house? And
Yeah.
then now we're moving to pre-approval, right? So we're to our loan originator. And I would, at that point, I fold in the calls now anytime I can. I don't lag and go, oh, I'm going to have someone call you. I'll wait. I go, great. Hold on. Let me get Christian, and I'll dial Christian, and I'll pull him into the call right away. Right. Hey, Christian, I'm talking to Chantel. She's thinking about renting, but I was telling her a little bit about the grant program. What do you think she would qualify for, to buy her next house? And then now we're moving down the path of purchase versus the path of leasing. And if it doesn't work out, hey, sure. You know what, Chantel, we have a list. I want to send that list over to you. You can reach out to a number of them. It's a kind of a segmented market here when it comes to the rental listings. And so no one has all of them. I wish I did. But that's just how our system works out here. And I know they'll take great care of you. In the meantime, now we're in connection with our loan originator, who now has, and we have them in our database. So we're going to have them in our email river, as well as our social media retargeting campaign. So now they're in our sphere, as well as we have some contact. And then that LO has a reason to follow up with them in 6 months, a year. Hey, I know your lease is about to come up. how is your financial situation changing? Are you planning to lease again, or do you want to explore a down payment assistance program, or are you guys just ready to purchase? Have you saved up some money? So a lot of ways to take that rental conversation. But yeah, you have to have, I think there's got to be some pivot there that makes it worth their time. Otherwise, it's like, nah, I'm good.
I want to tell you, one of the reasons why I joined and I just love Canzel is that I can get 100% commission, I get revenue share, and I get stock. I am making thousands of dollars every single month in revenue share and stocks. And I now don't have to work nights and weekends on real estate anymore. I've actually never been to a real estate agent's retirement party, and I want to be the first one that people are coming to at a young age. And I want to share with you some of my favorite resources. So if you go to joincanzel.com/free, there's a couple that I want you to download. One is a 20 free lead generating PDF. It's going to help you generate leads for free that you can download, as well as there's one on how to double your business. I don't want you to miss it. Go download it today. joincanzel.com/free.
Yeah, I will share a story, and everyone who's listening to this call can actually use it, because you can just say a friend of mine. So my grandmother just passed away a couple days ago, and she was 102 years old, and she's lived in the same place. She rented an apartment. She's lived there for the last 60 years. She peacefully died in her sleep, and she lived an amazing life. But she actually decided to rent just for a couple of years. She sold her house for $40,000 60 years ago. And we had gone by, the last time I went to go see her, we drove by her house that she had sold for $40,000, and I pulled it up, and that house just sold for $2.2 million. So here's a house that she sold for $40,000. It's now worth $2.2 million had she held on to it. And so everyone has this idea, like, I'm just going to rent for a couple, in her mind, I'll just rent for a year or two, and then we'll buy something else. Well, that 1 year turns to 2 years, which turns to 60 years. And here we could have sold her house for 2.2 million instead of the 40,000 that she ended up selling it for. So I think sharing that kind of story is a real aha moment to people, that goes, sometimes when you move in somewhere, you just never move out, just like her. She only planned on being there for a short amount of time. By the time you know it, it's 60 years. She didn't plan on living until 102, but she did. And here she lost a lot of money that she could have passed on that wealth, to her family and so forth. So I think
Good piece of content. That needs to be in the video.
having that story is a really powerful tool. And you guys could all use that and say, a friend of mine, and then share that story, because people sometimes need to hear that kind of stuff, so that the light bulb kind of goes off, that goes, why are you going to wait?
Yeah,
all right.
definitely.
Yeah. So go ahead, and you have done just such an amazing job at business development. And I want you to kind of share some of your kind of top leadership tips that you have running your team, how any kind of things that you want to share. If someone's looking to start a team, or they already have a team, and you go, here's some of my top tips that you want to share with them.
Ooh, there's a lot of ways to go with that. Yeah, and just so everybody has some context, our team right now, we have about 70 agents, and then we have a mortgage, insurance, and a title JV. So we have ancillary businesses that we have that are off of the central core of or hub of our real estate business. So you got to lead with great people across the board. The better people you have, the faster everything is going to happen. It goes back to Jim Collins and, get the right people on the bus. And that is fundamental, when you're having friction. And I think one of our most important mandates as leaders is to eliminate frictions, but you'll find that most of the frictions are around people. The processes and the systems, can be ironed out when you have the right people and the right people that are making decisions. And so always, doing a thorough job in your hiring process. We just went through a little turnover in our mortgage department. We had had a couple of people that were just not succeeding and had gone sour and moved on. And as soon as they left, everybody else who remained was just, it was like a weight had been lifted. Everybody was excited, re-engaged. And so don't suffer also people that are, who are culture killers. If somebody is just turned sour, just, I think Barbara Corcoran said that, part of her process was every once in a while she would just walk down the floor and, see somebody who wasn't a fit and say, you know what, you're not a great fit here. Goodbye. It also reminds everybody that culture is important. And, we just had to let an agent go who had had a transgression, which I can't detail. But it told everyone in the company what was really important, that it doesn't matter how productive you are. If you are destructive, or if you are, not in line with our culture, or not on board, or, not on the same mission and pulling in the same direction, that there's not enough income to offset the damage that does to you organizationally and culturally.
Mm. Well, we have gone way over the time. I have lost all track of time. I've enjoyed talking with you so much that I've just forgot all about our time frame.
I know. I'm ready to coach with you.
Yeah. Well, what we can do is have you come back on, because what you've shared has been so amazing. But for now, tell listeners where they can find you and where they can follow you and send referrals your way.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm at Dustin Oldfather. I'm not hard to find. There aren't too many Oldfathers in the world. So Facebook, Instagram, wherever I'm on all the social media channels. We're here on the coast. We serve Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and just launched our expansion team in DC. So we cover this metro area. I'm originally from Maryland. So yeah, at Dustin Oldfather, I'm easy to find. And I will, my process, we always want to make sure that we keep our referral agents engaged in that process. One of the things that I think often gets lost in our industry is taking care of the referral source itself, and having great relationships with people like you, Chantel. When someone refers me a client, I want them to know what's going on during that process, and celebrating the milestones when they're happening. And so making a point of saying, hey, this is what's happening, and rather than just saying, hey, thanks so much, and then mailing a check or not mailing a check. And one of the worst feelings in the world, is I'm sure you've experienced, is you refer somebody that you love, and then you're like, hey, whatever happened? And then you call them, they're like, oh, it didn't work out. And you're like, oh, I wish you'd let me know. So thank you for that. And if there were anybody who hasn't worked with us, obviously we have a big team, but anyone who was referred to me personally, I still work with and work directly with, to make sure that my referrals are taken care of properly.
Awesome. Well, let's show Dustin some love in the chat. Thank you so much. That was really great feedback. We love that so much.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a rating and a review so we can get this out to more agents. And tune in next week for another power-packed episode. This is the Millionaire Real Estate Podcast.